Hey, hi everyone. Welcome to AWS session. And in today's session, we are going to discuss about what is AWS. It is going to be a general introduction, and the syllabus we are going to cover in this entire sessions, and a small roadmap about the technologies between physical environment and how a virtual environment evolved from it, and how a cloud environment developed from the virtual environment. Okay, so before moving to those session, let me introduce about myself. 12 years of experience into IT. I'm currently playing an architect role in a product-based company. So my technical skills are, I started my career as a Linux engineer. Then I moved to VMware admin. Then we migrated the virtual servers to cloud. So I gained experiences in AWS and Azure, and I'm currently working with the Docker and Kubernetes, and also I'm being part of an AI team, like developing AI agents and training models. I'm holding these certifications: Solution Architect Associate, Azure Solution Architect, Terraform Certified, Linux and Kubernetes Certified Engineer. Okay, so AWS. So AWS is nothing but it is a remote data center where we are going to pay for what we are going to use. Okay, so to give a clear idea about it, well, it was introduced by Andy Jassy. That's a highlight here. And to to start, like how it was evolved, we should understand like how a physical environment was, then how they developed virtual environment and cloud. So we'll go with that one by one. Okay, so in traditional uh, kind of year 1990s or 1980s, and in that time, when you want to develop an application, at least you need individual servers. Okay, so one server, and what we'll do, we'll install an operating system on top of it, and then we'll install application on top of it. Okay, it's going to be a single hardware, an operating system. It can be Linux or Windows, and you will install a Java or any web-based application on top of it. Okay, so for every front-end application, we need a databases. Okay, so for database again, we need one hardware, one operating system. On top of it, we need to create a DB server, so which collects all your data, same hardware. And then one more server, we can keep it for backup. Like in case if the main server goes down, we'll be having one backup server individually to maintain our environment. Okay, it's just considered it's a very small startup, and we're starting with a very small servers. Okay, so we can call this as physical environment because we will own these servers in our building, in our premise. We'll have these servers. Okay, so first we'll see the drawbacks of these environments. The first drawback is cost. Okay, so if you are going to purchase a physical server, the cost minimum comes the price of in INR it will be 3 lakhs to 10 lakhs. So the price is very high when you are purchasing a physical server. Okay, then the second drawback is resource wastage. Consider this server spec is uh, RAM. Just an example, 8 GB processor. We have 4 core, and hard disk we have 500 GB. So we cannot completely utilize this 8 GB of RAM. Okay, if we utilize this, what will happen? We'll face instability or a slowness in the system. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll use 50 percentage of the RAM, and we'll keep 50 percentage ideal to maintain the system. So I'm telling this 50% ideal less than wastage. Okay, so resource wastage is there in physical environment. And third thing is the resource sharing is not possible, which means consider that this hardware is having 4 GB of RAM is free. So you cannot easily remove this free space and connect to the new system, since in real time they will not allow us to do this. So resource sharing is not possible. Then OS installation time. So minimum this, like consider this is a rack server. Okay. So give an idea. Rack server looks like, let me just open Chrome. Okay. So your rack server. So it looks like this. You'll have a rack and you will mount the servers. Okay. So when you use rack servers, the minimum time it takes for mounting and installing these softwares and delivering it to the developers. So it takes up to 2 to 3 hours. So minimum time I'm telling. Okay, the OS installation time is high, and then you'll have a drawback of electricity. Okay, you need to supply. Consider it's a three hardware. It's fine. What in case if your business is expanding, so you need to increase your server counts. So you have to provide supply either in AC as well as in DC for all your hardwares. And the final drawback is space. Okay, so if you see this structure, right, you need at least 4 racks. You need this much of space. Then consider it's a very big data center. Then you have to pay for the space and we need to run this, right? So space is also a very big drawback in this physical environment. Okay, because this OS only works on single hardware. Okay, uh, so let's move to the virtual environment and see how they solve this drawback. But before moving to virtual environment, we should also need to know that there are three types of servers available. The one I showed is rack server, that is most commonly used. The next one is blade server. But why people prefer for servers? Okay, why can't they use desktop or laptop? Because in server, right? If we go to server rear view, you will be having backup for all the peripherals. See, if you take this example, see if you have two power cards. Okay, if one goes down, the other will help you. And just to give you a very clear picture about this, yeah, if you see, you'll be having multiple LAN ports. Okay, if one LAN network cable goes down, the other will helps you as a backup. Okay, even if you go with the front view, you can see multiple hard disk connect to it. So these are the hard disk, and it will be easily ejectable. If one hard disk goes down, you don't need to remove the entire cabinet. You just remove this one particular hard disk and you can troubleshoot it, or else you can replace it, because the data will be mirrored. See, if these two hard disks will have the same data. If one goes down, the other hard disk will help you. This is called a ride mirroring concept. Okay, so this is the reason in business people goes for server rather than using a desktop, because in desktop you'll be having one power card, one LAN cable, and one hard disk. Okay. So following to this rack server, it's a rack mounted server. We have blade server. It's a compact one, but the only drawback in this blade server is like it reduces space. But if this thing is called chassis, if this chassis goes down, then the entire power supply will get affected. So this is blade server, and we have one more thing called tower server. My environment is very small. I don't need a blade or rack. Then you can go for tower. It's like it looks like a gigantic desktop, but it have the same feature like a multiple hard disk you can connect, and you will be having the backups for power supply and NAC cards. So these three are the types of servers. Okay, so with these problems, how they overcome, right? They in around in 2000, okay, they introduced a technology called virtual environments. The market leader for virtual environment is VMware. So they introduced VMware in the year of 2000. So VMware was the market leader in virtual environment. So what they actually do here is, see here the drawback is one hardware requires, sorry, one OS requires one hardware, single hardware. Okay, that is the reason when the number of OS increases, the number of hardwares we keep on increasing it. So in virtual environment, you don't need to increase these hardwares. You can have one single hardware. In VMware, they have a technology called ESXi, Elastic Sky X Integrated. So with this technology, you can host multiple OS in a single hardware. You can host Java in the same hardware, database, and backup. So by this, we are eliminating the multiple dependencies of these hardwares. So you can run at least 32 OS you can run in this single hardware by using this VMware technology, which is ESXi, Elastic Sky X Integrated. Okay, so same, you can run your Java on top of it, database, and your backup server. So advantages of these virtual environments. So cost is reduced since instead of handling three different hardwares in VMware, we can do this process with one single hardware. So cost is reduced. And the second one is resource wastage and resource sharing both solved together. How? The thing is like here it is supporting from a single hardware, right? So if the same this OS is having 4 GB of RAM is free, it can be easily shared to other operating system because the underlying hardware is a single hardware. So resource wastage and resource sharing has been solved together. Okay. OS installation time. In VMware, maximum it takes 30 minutes to 45 minutes to create your OS. And electricity space is also reduced since it is having less hardware and less hardware consumes less space. So we solved all this problem by using virtual technology by VMware. The competitor for VMware is from Microsoft. They have a software called Hyper-V, and in Linux they had a KVM, kernel virtual machine. But VMware topped the market, and they were very strong in this field because uh, they they proved their stability in virtualization. Okay, post to this virtual environment, the cloud computing has evolved. Okay, it yes, I told you Andy Jassy developed in 2006, but it gets started popular, or like many started using from 2010, became very famous. But what difference in this virtual environment and cloud? So both are similar. In VMware, we should need to have these hardwares in our organization. We need to pay license for them. But in cloud computing, they came up with an idea like you don't need to maintain this in your data center. So we'll maintain your virtual machines in our data center. So it is not using this hypervisor, like we can call it as ESXi, like they are using in hardware virtual model, which is a Zen model they're using. There is a hypervisor. And they consider like to connect this, like in this VMware, right? It will be in our LAN, local area network, we can connect to them easily. But AWS, as I told you, it's in a different data center, in their data center. So the only option to connect AWS is through internet. AWS machines is through internet to users. Okay, so um, so here the burden is reduced. Like we don't need to maintain data center for us. AWS will take care of data center and all the operations. We are just going to pay for what we use. Okay, if it is going to be 2 hours, we are going to use a machine. We are going to create something, and if you terminate it, then they will not charge us. So approximately on an average, I can say that if you use physical environment, you can spend 10,000 lakhs per year. Okay, so for VMware, 1 lakh per year. And AWS, it comes up to only 10,000 per year because we don't need to maintain data centers, and we are just going to pay for what we use. So this is the reason that this cloud computing becomes a very big hit in the market, and all the business peoples are moving towards cloud computing because of the cost saving thing. Okay, so the market leader for cloud computing is obviously AWS. They introduced it. Then in Microsoft we have a product called Azure. In Google we have a product called GCP. Okay, so the advantages is first one, we don't need to maintain data center. Again, OS installation time. So in AWS nowadays it takes only 1 to 5 minutes to create OS. It's very fast. Okay, so this is what cloud computing is, and you know the advantage now, like how it evolved from physical and virtual servers. So yeah, this is the reason. Like we have more job opportunities in AWS as well as people's like everyone is showing interest in learning AWS. Like the same points I discussed here. And these are the entire syllabus we are going to cover in this session. Like we started with AWS introduction, and we'll go with the basics of cloud computing and how to access the console. Following to that, we'll learn about EC2 instances, storage, EBS, EFS, and networking. We'll learn about the VPC parts. Load balancers, we'll learn about CLB, ALB, and network load balancer. Autoscaling is a very highlight feature in AWS that we are going to learn. CloudFront, which is which improves our website performance. Route 53 is a DNS service. Database service is RDS. S3 is again storage. We learn about monitoring, which is CloudWatch, and also we learn about event handling and network access control list. Following to that, we'll learn about Elastic Beanstalk, Cloud Formation, and how to provide SSL certificate using ACM, and IAM, which is Identity Access Management to control users and their permissions, key management system, Trusted Advisor, Lambda, and how to migrate from physical to cloud. So I'll just share my experience, like how we did plenty of migrations from physical environment to cloud. That will be very useful for you for knowledge as well as to clear interviews. And we'll have some troubleshooting sessions and also real-time interview scenarios. So at the end of this course, I'll give you what is the proper roles and responsibilities for an AWS engineer, and what are the questions you'll face in interviews, the scenario-based questions and subject-wise questions. So this entire session, I'll try to maximum take it as easy as possible for your understanding, as well as this really helps you to clear any interviews. Okay, so that's all for today's session, and we'll meet in next session with the upcoming planned syllabus. Okay, so thank you everyone. So always keep yourself up to date to the current market, which really helps you to boost your confidence, as well as we can gain a good package in the market. So thank you everyone.